So what would you say if you found out that two of the biggest movies ever in existence, The Terminator and The Matrix, were both films that were stolen from a black woman who you have never heard about because all this information has been suppressed by Warner Brothers and the media? Pretty shocking, right? I mean, I was pretty shocked when I found this TikTok right here, which told me exactly that.
Original creator of the billion-dollar franchises The Matrix and Terminator, and never being credited for it. Sophia Stewart is the real genius behind these concepts, and she needs to credit it. So in 1981, Sophia curates and creates a package of scripts. With that is treatments, character analysis, character breakdowns, storyboards, essentially the blueprint for The Matrix and the Terminator. And she calls it the third eye.
And if you look at the comments on this video as well, here, you can see a lot of people are amazed by this information and think she deserves some real justice. And I was shocked when I heard this one because I studied film at university, and The Terminator is one of the scripts that I studied and referred to quite often when doing my own screenwriting, and the fact that it was stolen was wild to me. But naturally, I believed everything I heard from this person on the internet and just decided to regurgitate the same information is what I would be saying. However, me being me, I decided to look into this topic and do a bit of research myself. Now, for those of you who aren't really familiar with The Terminator or The Matrix because you've clicked on a YouTube video about a movie you never watched, I get it, I do it all the time. So I'll give you a quick breakdown of those two movies and why them being linked might be something special. So both movies follow a trope called the Chosen One, where the main character is, as it says, the Chosen One. And it's a very popular trope you see used all the time. You can find good examples of stories that use the Chosen One, like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Star Wars. And you can find bad examples of the Chosen One being used in terrible stories like Harry Potter. But what makes the Terminator and the Matrix unique specifically is they use that trope in a way that's never been used before. So starting with the Terminator, John Connor, and by extension Sarah Connor, his mother, John Connor is the Chosen One as defined by the trope. But that doesn't mean he has any magic powers or special abilities that makes him the one that defeats the Dark Lord or whatever, like most lazy writers tend to use the Chosen One trope for. In fact, the fact that he's a Chosen One means he's constantly in danger because the future keeps sending back robots to kill him, even before he's born. And that is one of the most unique takes on the Chosen One dynamic in any form of media, because it usually leads to Mary Sue characters who have all the powers in the world and can do no wrong and solve every problem. In fact, this is turning the trope on its head, and it's now the cause of all of the problems, not the solution. Now, as for the Matrix does something completely different. In the Matrix, Neo is the one, so the Chosen One. But it's later revealed that he's not the first Chosen One. In fact, he's just a cog in the machine. He's just part of a cycle. There have been many Chosen Ones before him, and essentially he's just a step in a reboot sequence. All being the Chosen One means is he's the one that presses the reset button, and nothing more. And what makes him special is his defiance of his role of being the Chosen One and diverging from it. And these are two stories that are using the trope of the Chosen One, written incredibly well, that Sophia Stewart claims was part of one story, with the Terminator being a prequel. So without looking any more into it, it's very easy to see why someone might make that connection and believe that they were both one story, because they both also use biblical allegories, with the birth of John Connor being very similar to Immaculate Conception from Jesus Christ, but in a sci-fi environment. In fact, his initials are JC as well. I think these are all things Sophia even mentioned in a few interviews. And the Matrix is very obvious with its biblical allegories, with Neo being a stand-in for the big JC himself. I've looked up interviews Sophia Stewart has done, and in fact, you know what? It's true, she has done several interviews on TV with different hosts. So yeah, she has been talking about it being the creator of The Terminator and The Matrix. This is an interview that I watched that's 40 minutes long that I do not recommend watching because this host is insufferable and constantly interrupts. But she does talk about her books, and in fact, you know, I'll play a clip of it.
Of The Matrix. Oh my goodness, I've always loved the mothers.
Oh, thank you. The Sophia Stewart story, because The Matrix is all about the woman's womb, her stargate, her portal to bring the babies into this world.
To keep creating.
That's right, to keep creating. So the third eye, the eye of God, the Matrix is a Latin word, 7,000 year old for the woman's womb, her portal, her stargate.
I wonder how many. You know what I mean? She keeps interrupting.
Not many people know.
Like, let the woman say a sentence at least.
This Bible actually mentioned 5 times in Scripture. 3 times in Exodus, 2 times in Numbers. Exodus 34th chapter, 19th verse, God says,
listen to all this now.
He who opens up the matrix are my children born out of the womb.
And that's why he calls them all his children.
You know what I mean? This is a very difficult interview to watch because she can't get a single sentence in without the host interrupting. But I watched this entire 40-minute interview, and you'll see the comments in here as well are saying that she She should be given justice, and she is the one that wrote the Matrix and such. She sounds like she knows what she's talking about, right? And she has a website called truthaboutthematrix.com, where she talks about all that stuff, and she even sells copies of her book that the Matrix was based off of here, and apparently also a sequel to the Matrix, which she calls the Matrix 4 and 5, which she has got the rights to according to this website. So it seems pretty damning, right? So I did the next sensible thing and actually buy a copy of her book and read through it. So this book is pretty big, it's about 300 pages, give or take. So imagine my surprise when I find out that the story she alleges was stolen from her is only 58 pages. And to just give you a breakdown of what this story is about, it's about the son of an alien called Bicard, who does battle with an alien called Morningstar, and they're this evil, shadowy organization called the Rothfellas, and humanity live in a big city under a dome controlled by computers. And already you can see there's literally no connection between this and either of those two movies. That brings the question, what's the other 200 pages in this book about? Well, it starts off with a few pages about the author, calling her a child prodigy, prolific writer, poet, creative genius, before getting into the story proper around about here. And then it's followed by a movie treatment for the plot of the we just read, which basically sums up the story about there. And then the rest of these documents are just scans of legal documents where she's taken what studios to court over all this, as you can see right here. So why does she claim to control the rights to the Matrix franchise? Well, I looked into her website, where she has a few scans of legal documents, and from what I can see, she has registered the trademark for the Matrix for the evolution, cracking the genetic code. So in a sense, yeah, I guess she does own the rights to that specific title, which I don't think Warner Bros. Are ever going to use. There's really no harm in letting her have that. So what other connections does her story have with the plot of the Matrix then? I mean, outside of a few elements, like the fact that she thinks video games like Pac-Man are training children for war, really nothing else. It seemed like a very sort of Star Wars-inspired biblical allegory that isn't very subtle with names like Morningstar. Just to give you a quick rundown of her timeline of events, she claims she sent her script to Fox in the 1980s and got rejected for that, and then that her script somehow made it to Warner Brothers, who stole it and used that to create Matrix. And the first issue you can see there is that Fox didn't make the Terminator. It was made by an independent studio with James Cameron, so there's no way the Terminator could have been based on a script. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of her legal documents, but the gist of it is Sophia Stewart basically failed to provide any proof that it was stolen outside of her claims, so she didn't submit any proof for that. And she didn't even turn up to some of the days at court either, so it was very quickly dismissed. And as far as I can tell, the first instance of anywhere stating that she had won anything was an article I found on Snopes, where they covered they debunked this essentially by telling you it's false. Sorry, spoilers for the rest of this video, but yeah, it's practically false. So her case was dismissed in 2005, as I mentioned, because she did not provide any evidence to support her claims. And then a student blog website incorrectly reported that she won the case, and that was from Salt Lake Community College called The Globe, and it corrected that mistake shortly after, where they said she hadn't actually won the case yet, and that things are still sort of proceeding. So that's the first instance of anyone saying that she won the case. And people have incorrectly repeated this multiple times, despite the fact that the website did end up correcting it. In fact, if we go back to her website real quick, she has a section about legal documents that you can scroll through, where she talks a little bit about her case. And you'll notice this suspiciously large section of empty space. That's because she's hidden the links for the documents with black text on black background. You need to highlight it to be able to see them. And if you read these documents, from what you can see, this is actually a case against her lawyer that she won, which refunded her legal fees. So she never actually won anything against Warner Brothers or Fox even for her case, and all she got was a refund for her legal fee. She has made other claims as well as to how the Wachowskis would have seen her screenplay or her script. One of those claims being that in 1986 they saw her script when she sent it in for an open call, and that's when it was stolen to create The Matrix. And that can't be true, because at the time both the Wachowskis were still high school and college students. He has also repeatedly dismissed them as writers because they used to write comic books, so she's talked down a lot about their writing ability, and in fact has been openly transphobic about them on her Shitter account. Shitter is what I call Twitter, where she's posted multiple shits about the Wachowskis being trans in less than flattering ways, referring to them as men in wigs and dresses, and just overall being very mean towards them about that. So to sum it up, it's not true. This book does not have anything to do with The Matrix or the Terminator. In fact, what I suspect is the reason why this conspiracy theory has even gained any traction fashion at all being covered anywhere on TikTok and stuff, it's because of content creators just stealing content from each other. Because I can promise you, none of them have done any research about this. All they did is they heard an inspiring story about a black woman who they thought they could exploit for views and clicks and comments on their social media platform of choice. So they just regurgitated the same information by essentially stealing content from someone else without doing any research into it. And I could have done the same. It would have gotten me a lot more views and a lot more comments because it's a juicier story, right? Warner Brothers screwing over a poor black woman. But no, the truth is, this book has nothing to do with either of those movies. And while I wanted to believe that, maybe she had written these stories, because as someone who does a lot of writing myself, the idea of the Terminator and the Matrix being linked as one story sounds like a good idea. It has a lot of promise to it. In fact, the way they both subvert same tropes makes it easy to see why those stories might be linked. But the truth of the matter is, it's just not. On that note, thank you for sticking to the end of my video. I know I did ramble on quite a bit. If you can drop a like, subscribe and comment below, I could really appreciate it. I need to make my money back from buying this book, so I hope this video does well. Otherwise, this whole thing was just a waste of time and money for me. But I will give you one treat for sticking to the end of this video. I'm going to quickly go back to Snopes to tell you about another fact that they debunked, which is this story about two officers in Georgia, which they had to debunk. And the reason I'm showing you this is because that's me. I made that. That was a joke I posted on the internet. And apparently I was so convincing, actual news outlets started reporting on the story, despite the fact that I posted it to a Comic-Con group. And all I was doing is spoiling the end of season 2 of The Walking Dead. So I guess be funny responsibly. But my small claim to fame aside, please do check out some of my other videos. I've done quite a few videos now on the channel I'm building up that I think you would enjoy. But I'll see you in the next one. Sayonara.